In this video I'll show you how I make 2 sourdough bread pan loaves for around £1. Let's do it. First, with around 560 grams of water, 20 grams of sea salt, 200 grams of 1:1 ratio whole wheat starter. As you can see, this is doubled in size, ready to use. And we'll just give this a good mix, just so it's a little bit more evenly mixed throughout the water. That'll do. Get the flour in. This is 900 grams of Costco Marriage's Canadian bread flour. This is a pretty high protein content, so it is a good flour for sourdoughs, breads and that sort of thing as well. So you can add a little bit in at a time, but I don't see much difference in the quality of the bread when you add all the flour at once for sourdough. Get it all mixed up until you get a lot of that loose water absorbed up, and it will start to become a little bit dry and shaggy. So I think at this point I'm just going to get my hands in and make sure all that flour sitting at the bottom is thoroughly mixed in, and you end up with a pretty shaggy mixture at the end. Just about there, a little more. There's still a little bit of flour sitting at the bottom of the bowl. It does stick to your fingers a little bit, but this is around 65% hydration, so it's not actually too bad. It's not super sticky. After this, I'm going to go and get some cling film, get that covered up and leave it to rest for 30 minutes. This is obviously all in the bowl method. You can use a KitchenAid or mixer if you have something like that available. That is it. It's quite a warm day today. The water I used was, I wouldn't say cold, but it certainly wasn't that warm. I've been around 12 hours for my proof the last month or two, but a lot warmer today, so it's going to be a lot quicker. Get that covered up. You can use a damp tea towel, but I'm just going to keep this covered up with cling film today, just so you can see change in the dough throughout the day, and we will come back in 30 minutes. We've given the dough a chance to rest, and if you have a look, it would just come apart in your hands, basically, at this point. If we left it, the dough would inevitably rise as the yeast feeds on the flour, but we need to develop the gluten strength in the dough. So we're going to do 4 sets of stretch and folds every 30 minutes. This will become easier as the sets go along, but what you're going to do is you're basically going to take one part of the dough and you're going to stretch it up and you're going to fold it over and turn the dough around and repeat. You take the side of the dough, lift it up, give it a little wiggle, fold it over, and you're just developing that gluten. A little bit sticky at first and not very stretchy, if you like, for a technical term. But by doing that, you'll make it stronger as time goes on. So you could just go around again just to tidy it up a little bit. It doesn't actually matter how many times you do this. I normally go for between 4 and 8 per set. It's just to enable the dough to build that strength, that gluten strength, which we'll see later on. So I'm nearly done here. You could actually take it out and do exercises on the countertop, but for this method I'm going to keep it nice and easy and leave it in the bowl. Simple as that. We'll leave it for another 30 minutes. Okay, we're now 1 hour after mixing the dough, so we're going to do a second set of stretch and folds. As you can see, the dough is a little bit nicer now to work with and a little bit more stretch to it, and it's relaxed nicely and starting to build that strength. Fold it over as before. Just give it a few more and then we'll leave it for another 30 minutes. And I think I'll leave it at that. Cover it up and see you in 30 minutes for round 3 of stretch and folds. Okay, so third set of stretch and folds. You can actually see the dough starting to get a little bit bigger as well. Just repeating as 4, look at that. It's pretty pretty extensible now, nice and relaxed. I'm only going to do one more set after this. I'm going to do 4 sets in total. And then I'll leave it to finish its bulk fermentation. I'm actually going to go and see if I can pull this dough a little bit here. There we go, look at that. It's pulling quite a bit before it breaks now. So it's starting to build that gluten. That will do for now, and I will cover it up and see you in the 4th set of stretch and folds. 4th and final set of stretch and folds. Here we go. What a difference in the dough now. Starting to come together nicely. It's a completely different batch of dough to when we first started, in the way that it feels and looks. To be honest, that's probably going to be enough. I'm going to be happy enough with that just now. And before I ball it up for fermentation, finish its bulk fermentation, I'm actually going to just see if I can stretch, kind of window pane test style. Look at that. It's going a little bit before it breaks. It's breaking a little bit at the end there, but that is getting pretty good, and it's getting a nice gluten development. So, just going to leave that now. Lately I've been looking for an almost double in size. That's when I put it in the fridge, but today it's a little bit warmer than it has been. It's probably one of the hottest days of the year, so it's going to go in the fridge. If it's already double in size by that point, it may be slightly over fermented by the time I come to bake it tomorrow. Anywhere between 70% and 100% rise on this today before it goes in the fridge. I'll keep an eye on it. It's going to be later on tonight. I'll just get that covered up. When I'm ready later on, I will take it out, split it in half and put it into 2 loaf pans ready for the fridge. So I'll see you then. Here we have our sourdough, and our fermentation looks to be complete. We're just going to check a few things right now. As you can see, there's some bubbles forming on the dough, and the dough has clearly doubled in size, or at least most of the way towards double in size, which is a good indication that dough has completed fermentation or is proofed enough. Another way to tell if your dough is fully fermented is if it has a nice jiggle to it and is not dense and heavy. You can see at the side of the dough it's domed, so it's not completely flat. You can see it's domed all the way around and it's slightly sitting off the edge. I have my 2 £2 loaf pans here, and I'm going to take the dough out and split it into 2. These loaf pans have been lined with a little bit of butter, ready just so it helps the dough not sticking when not only is it in the fridge overnight in the pans, but also after baking it just comes straight out of the pan. So that's what I'm going to do now. I've slightly wet my hands here, so the dough should just come straight out. See, it's pulling away from the side of the bowl real easily. That's another good indication of correctly proofed dough. I'm going to cut that in half, roughly. I could measure it, but I'm too lazy. That will do. And we'll just gently shape it into a slightly longer rectangle. I'm going to fold the top third down, tuck that in, give it a little shake, open it up, and give the bottom a little shake. There we go. And we'll tuck it in, just folding the sides over. This is less than majestic, but it does work. And one roll. And we'll crimp the seam at the side. Lots of air bubbles in that, so that's very nice dough ready for the fridge. and this is now the top. So bring the pan over, stick it in, and that is that. Number 2, lay that out, same again as before, fold it over. Should have probably used a little bit of rice flour here. Again, just creating a little bit of tension. Kind of pulled the edge off of that there. And get it rolled up. Again, it's going in the loaf pan, so it's not the biggest issue if it's not absolutely perfect. Just crimp that edge. Again, they will look good when they're finished. And that is number 2. Get the loaf pan, stick it in, and these 2 are good to go in the fridge. Let's do it. Here we have our 2 sourdough pan loaves out of the fridge. They've been in there for around 13 hours cold fermentation. To finalise that proof, I'm going to get them open. I put a little bit of olive oil on the top of the loaf yesterday just so the cling film doesn't stick to it. So it comes off nicely. The oven has been preheating at just over 230 degrees Celsius for 30 minutes. So these are ready to go in. What we'll do is, after I score the dough, we will set a tray on each, another pan, sorry, on each loaf, like that, which will trap the steam in. So we'll be 20 minutes with the pans on the top and 15 minutes with the pans off. Probably 1 or 2 minutes added on for the fact we're going to bake them both at the same time. Got our bread laying here, so we're going to do 1 score. I'm going to score straight down the middle with the bread laying at 90 degrees to the loaf. It'll just help that loaf rise in the oven. Probably could use a new blade, to be honest, but that is us ready to go in the oven. That's had 22 minutes, so we'll go in and take the lids off. As you can see, rising very nicely. And look at the colour of those. These smell amazing out of the oven, and we're going to get them out the pans and get them onto the wire rack and let them cool down for 2 hours. And they slide out nice and easy. As I mentioned, I would wait at least 2 hours before I cut these loaves, because any sooner you'll probably end up with a slightly gummier inside. Now, these 2 loaves have been gifted to someone, so I won't be able to cut these exact loaves open to show you the inside. But here's one I made a few days ago, exactly the same recipe, and here's the inside. And obviously compare this to a round sourdough or a kind of bowl shape. This looks more like a sandwich loaf style and even fits inside your toaster, which is ideal. So the flour I use is Marriage's Costco bread flour, and this is around £15 for 15 kilos worth of flour. So for this recipe, including the 200 grams of starter, we're basically using 1 kilograms of flour, so we are around £1 worth of flour to make these 2 loaves, which is unbelievable value. And just look at them. Thank you for watching, and if you like our content, please consider subscribing to our channel for more future videos.